What's going on, people? It's your boy Holy Joe Rock and Roll, coming at you live and unscripted. And the Fed, a popular expression popularized by the Ron Paul candidacy of years ago. But is it a good strategy? I'm going to take the opposite. I'm in bed with the Fed. You know why? Because the Fed, this current Fed, is doing pretty good. For me, my greenbacks are worth something like 30% more against the euro. My greenbacks are worth 30% more against the Polish zloty. My greenbacks are worth 50% more than 50% against the Russian ruble. My greenbacks are worth 300% more against the Ukrainian hryvnia. My greenbacks are worth 30% more against the Canadian dollar. I mean, why would you want to end the Fed when you can be in bed with the Fed? Your dollars are worth more today than they were just 18 months ago. That is pretty cool. Now, I know what you're thinking. The reason why people who are opposed to the Fed is that, yes, they have a tendency to create bubbles because they control the money supply. And it is very obvious, just looking at the recent history, that the 2007-2008 depression was caused by the Fed raising interest rates after a period of very low interest rates. And the housing bubble, which came out of these low interest rates. When the rates went high, people couldn't afford their mortgages. Boom, right? Banking crises, huge one. Induced by the Fed, accidentally, but it's because they were trying to normalize rates, bring those rates back up. They raised the rates, 17 times in a 2-year period? What do you expect, right? The current Fed says that they're data dependent, and they've been resisting raising rates. Now, it's been my stand that the U.S. economy can certainly support 25 basis points is 0.25%, right? So go from 0 to 0.25%. That could happen twice, let's say, easily. One per quarter for the rest of this year. I can find that sustainable. It's only, you're going from 0 to 0.5%. If your business was viable at 0, it should still be viable at 0.5%, right? Most businesses' gross margin typically is between 30 and 60%. So if you're talking about interest rate of 0.5%, it's within the fudge factor. It's a rounding error, okay? And it may encourage actually new business development because the fear being that the Fed will continue to raise interest rates. So I need to move now, right? I need to buy that house now. I need to buy that whatever now. Lock in these low rates while the rates are still low. So it could be good. Now, as long as the Fed doesn't get ahead of themselves and carried away, right? I mean, there is just pathetic growth. So if the Fed remains data dependent, the rates are not going to go up very fast or very far very fast, okay? Now, coming back to my greenback story in the beginning, one other reason why the Fed will probably be restrained in raising interest rates is because of the strong dollar, right? To get us out of this Fed-induced depression, they lowered interest rates. Remember that? And they started printing money, right? So everybody thought the dollar was going to collapse. Oh my God, they're printing money out of thin air. But remember, the Federal Reserve Act, which is the act that President Woodrow Wilson signed, creates the Fed. They are reserve banks, right? They're 12 regional banks, or 10 of them, whatever they are. And their mandate is to maintain the money supply, to assist in the growth of the economy as the economy grows, and control inflation, and help to improve employment, maintain employment. So they call it a dual mandate: control inflation and improve employment. They've not been perfect at it. Of course, they've not been perfect at it. They're humans like everybody else. And you might say they're controlled by so-and-so banks, whatever, whatever. I'm saying to you now, I'm in bed with the Fed, and so should you, because if you travel outside the U.S., your dollar is worth a heck of a lot more. All right? That fantasy trip that you wanted to go to Europe, it's probably affordable now. They're still going to be expensive in Western Europe, in Euroland. It's still going to be a little bit expensive. But if you go east, it's going to be cheap. Okay? If you go to Greece, it's going to be cheap, even though it's in euros. A lot of bargains in Greece for tourists. Anyhow, you want to fight the Fed? Knock yourself out. You want to end the Fed? Good luck with that. I'm Holy Joe Rock and Roll, and I'm in bed with the Fed because my greenbacks are worth a hell of a lot more today than they were just 18 months ago. Holy Joe Rock and Roll, peace out. And spend those greenbacks wisely.